Well, as you can see, we got concrete. And it's not all we've been up to this week, so let me show you what's going on. Well, it has been a pretty busy couple of weeks here on the property. I was actually back in Ohio for about a week and a half. I had to go back, and that's where Betsy and I are from. So we had a storage unit back there. There's my whole wood shop, a bunch of stuff from our house. And then, so I had to I flew back, got a U-Haul, and then I had to load that up with a buddy of mine. And then we also had to pick up my in-laws' stuff at their house in Ohio because they sold that house and they live out here on the property with us now. So while I was doing that, Shane and his crew were out here and they got the concrete poured in the shop and the south side of the living space over here. We're actually going to go ahead and prep this middle section and pour all of this in concrete as well. We originally were going to leave the one-car garage on the front as a dirt floor or gravel floor, but after crunching some numbers, it's actually a little bit cheaper to go ahead and do it now while I got the guys out here, while I got the machines out here, as opposed to coming in later and then having to pull everything out of there, get the guys back out here, rent the machines and all that stuff again. So the trip to Ohio was amazing. I got to see a lot of friends, I got to hang out and get a lot of family time in. Made a lot of really good memories and stuff while I was there. And then a good buddy of mine, Ness, he actually helped me load everything. We drove back cross country with it, and then we got everything loaded last weekend. Him and I took him over to Yellowstone since it's right over the ridge there, and we had a good couple of days cruising around and hanging out and doing that stuff as well. So, but today we're back to work. Got the guys heading here right now, and what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get this middle section basically ready for concrete as well, and then hopefully that's it for concrete for a little while and we can actually start the framing walls and stuff. Alright, we got a lot to cover in this video, so let's get things kicked off by pouring some concrete. Now, I actually wasn't here for this pour. This is when I was in Ohio, but Shane and his crew came out. We had the pump truck here again, and they just got to work pretty early that morning. This pour ended up being a total of 40 yards, basically 20 yards per side for the shop and for the living space. I think we were around 18 or 19 yards per slab, but we had some holes to fill where we put the posts in, and then some spaces and some voids where the slab needed to connect either to the footer or the frost wall. And because there was so much actual concrete to pour and finish here, Shane actually had to bring on a couple extra people, including his daughter.
So Shane, what are you doing here today?
Killing myself.
And you can kind of see the method Shane used for screeding this large slab. They are using two 2-inch galvanized pipes and embedding them in the concrete, and then they're using that big power screed to screed like 8 feet at a time before they hand trowel and finish everything, and then bring the mag float and the bull float back. And I really couldn't be happier with the end product. I mean, Shane and his crew just came out, absolutely knocked it out of the park, and I couldn't be here for it and stuff, and I just knew it was in good hands, and these guys know what they're doing, and it just looks really great. Alrighty, with those two slabs poured, I'm actually back here on site, and these guys are getting that center section prepped for concrete as well. And while the crew worked on that middle section, Shane and I went ahead and got the concrete saw running to cut our control joints in the slabs. So we ended up just spacing our cuts about 10 feet apart from each other, which you can see here. I just laid down a big 100-foot tape and went through and marked it out. And then we went through and snapped some chalk lines so that we had a good line to follow with the saw. And since we decided to go ahead and pour that whole middle slab in concrete and not leave the one-car garage a gravel floor like we originally had planned, we went ahead and got a machine out here, and Jeremiah's in there getting that whole front section of that section prepped for a slab as well. This was a really good saw. It just ran on regular unleaded gas, and some of these saws have a reservoir tank that you fill with water. This one actually just, you hook a hose right up to it, turn the hose on, and it just constantly gets keeps the dust down, keeps that blade nice and cool while you're cutting these long lines. I think each one of these lines probably took, I don't know, 6 or 8 minutes to cut total. And as for the cutting depth, we kept the blade at around 1 inch. So Jim and Jeff are sitting here, they're getting the rough grade sort of figured out, and they've got that 2x there with the wings on it, and that they can use the existing slabs as a reference to kind of get that subgrade set. At which point I can grab this plate compactor and run it around a couple times and just get that ground nice and solid for concrete. Jim is close up. And with the ground nice and firm, we went ahead and put in all the mesh panels. These are 4x8 sheets of remesh, and then we've got some rebar in the front because that's where we're going to be parking. We want to make sure that part of the slab is nice and solid. All right, back at it. Today we are going to get a couple steps closer to backfilling all this back in and get the framing. Okay, so what we're doing today is I've already gotten started on it, but this is a 40 millimeter thick waterproof barrier. This is going to go on everything that the styrofoam touches and everything that the backfill is going to touch. And this just basically creates an impermeable membrane so that any moisture that's in the soil or during weather elements or anything like that doesn't telegraph through the styrofoam and then the concrete and then the interior styrofoam and then into the wall. So basically it's just to keep the moisture out of the house. Okay, so what I'm using is a product called Trim Dry 540, and this is what was recommended by the Lightform representative that I've been in contact with since we started building with this stuff. Basically, this stuff is 3 feet wide, 75 feet long, and since I have this big back run here, I figured I need a few more, probably 8 or 10 more at about 93 to 95 inches. So I'm just using these little skid ramps I've got here to sort of measure that out and cut it. And this doesn't have to be an exact science, so I'm kind of just marking one side, lining it up somewhat straight, and then with a nice fresh blade, it cuts pretty nice. There you go. That's one. Got about 8 or 10 more to go. I have this is a zip system rollers for the zip tape. It just, you need some sort of J roller, some sort of roller to really get this stuff to adhere. And you can see, I even stuck this a couple days ago, and it's still not wanting to stick all the way. But the rep assured me that once we have a couple of sun cycles, this stuff will start sticking a little bit better. And I've seen that be the case down on the other side too. So what I'm gonna do is I'll grab my first slice. Now this stuff is very sticky, so what I want to do is kind of get my laps proper, kind of get it set up, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pull down a little bit on the top first. I'm gonna go ahead and just stick that. And that side's just gonna sort of hold for me. And then come back, peel off my other side. Now I can sort of unstick it and get my lap right. Now I'll go ahead and press that down on the top there. Roll it out. Now this took a little finagling figuring this out, but because I want it to be over the top of my sill to the face and then top of my styrofoam, I need this junction to be right. So I kind of found that just by picking up on it a little bit, it wants to stick to the face a little bit better. There we go. So now, go ahead, around the top. Okay, now I've got that good, that good waterfall here. Because as much as this is just to keep water from entering through the styrofoam, I'm also going to go ahead and use it as sort of a water management for the wall. So any water gets behind the siding, it'll hit this, come out, and get shedded out to the fill. And I found I'm just going to pull maybe a foot or two at a time, start in the center, and then work out. Sure that my membrane is all pulling down properly. So again, a couple of feet, smooth out the center. And then you can kind of just get it going with your hands here. I did go through here on the whole sill of my footer and sort of scraped it off. We did a lot of that when we poured concrete. We had a lot of overflow. You can see there's a lot of, puke out over there. But we cleaned a lot of that up when it was wet, and it made it so much easier because really all I had to do was come back through here with a flat shovel and just sort of scrape it off. Used a broom to broom it off, and then I used a leaf blower to get all the little stuff off. So. And this is just what I found works. Maybe you got a better idea. But now we're gonna get here to the bottom. And for me, this part's pretty crucial, making sure that this part gets nice and tight into that crevice there. The crevasse. Which honestly, this is probably easier as a two-man operation, but if you're watching this video, you're probably like me. And don't have another set of hands today, but you gotta get this done. So basically what I'm doing is coming down, I don't know, inch and a half over the top of the footer. And then I'm just kind of rolling it over like that. There you go. That's pretty much it for that. So I'm just gonna continue here and I'm gonna get around that corner and just knock this out. Now a lot of these manufacturers have different recommendation for laps and whatnot. This Tremco product recommends a 3-inch lap on each sheet. All right, well, that's pretty much it for all the waterproofing. Like I said, I wrapped it over the top of the sill, down the front of the styrofoam, out across the footer, and then down on the face of the footer as well. So the next thing I gotta do is use all this perf pipe that's here in front of me, and I actually have the camera sitting on a big pile of wash rock that came in today, and I'm gonna build all this up because I gotta get that French drain stuff set up, which I'll high spot in the back, and it'll all flow out to the front of the house. But looks like we got some weather rolling in, so that'll be tomorrow's project. So we'll see in the morning.
And that is going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I'd love to hear from you, and come back and see us on the next one. Thank you.